what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drewbie Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing it to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. Because let's be honest, this is the greatest industry on earth. Doesn't matter what you come through, where you come from, or what personality you have. If you do the work, you can be successful in sales. Today's guest, no stranger to the journey. I'd like you to help me welcome my friend, Mr. Curt Tueffert. How are you doing today, brother?
Hey, Drewbie. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening from wherever you're at. Hey, guys, I am really excited to be on this call. Trying to match Drewbie's energy is going to be impossible, but I'll do the best I can.
Hey, well, I certainly know that if you bring your best, we're going to make a great show. And I always like to do this right off the rip, man. Let's jump in. I want to hear a wild sales story.
Oh my gosh, a wild sales story. Here's a great one. It was a little bit early in my career. I was doing a sale on Brian. I forgot Brian's last name. He's such a big Brian Tracy. So I'm calling from Oregon, and he lives in Southern California, and I get the chance after not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, 5 times I would go down to Southern California. I would knock on their door. I would meet the receptionist. They'd always say no, always say no. Finally, they said yes. I was so persistent. So I had the chance. And there I was. I flew from Oregon down to San Diego, and I was going to present my value proposition to Brian Tracy, one of the guys that does all things sales training. So he gathers 4 of his people in a room, 4 of his leaders, and I'm there, and I'm about to start. And the first thing I find out is he crosses his legs, and he has a hole in the bottom of his shoe. And I thought, okay, I did not expect that, being that this guy is this rock star of a sales guru. And then I started doing my pitch, and I was doing my pitch, and everybody on this podcast knows what it sounds like to do a pitch. He stops me. He interrupts me, and he says, "Curt, stop." And I thought, oh no. He goes, "Curt, I know everything about me. Why don't you tell me a little bit about you?" So, wow, that was a horrible sales call that went kind of interesting, because I realized that even rock star sales guys have holes in the bottom of their shoes, and you over prepare, you can find yourself on the outside looking in.
Ooh, that's a gem of a story, Curt. I appreciate you telling it, because there's so many people who, and I was just having this conversation earlier, actually, we come in with this mindset as young, not so sure of ourselves sales professionals, and we think we have to steamroll the conversation, that we have to just like vomit all of this knowledge and information and features and benefits and all the promotions. And at the end of the day, one of the phrases, and it's very cliche, but it's, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And how interesting that even a great like Brian Tracy, he probably knew before you ever even walked in the door whether or not he was going to work with you. And how awesome of him to like give you that feedback in the moment, which you probably didn't realize. You probably went, "Why is this guy asking me about myself? I'm very confused here." But looking back on it, to be able to say, man, Brian Tracy, best in the world, got a daggum hole in his shoe. So how did you like take that lesson and kind of go back, and did you get to work with Brian? Now I'm super curious.
Oh, I really wanted to. I pursued him afterwards, and at that point in time, this was okay. This is really going to date me. The company was making videotape learning, that you could pause the videotape, answer a question, and the videotape would fast forward to the next section based on, did you get A or B or C? So I thought if I could get Brian Tracy's library of videotapes and make them interactive, this would be a game changer. Well, he was already being pursued by another company that was going to put positive training and sales training on cable television. So as he was looking at 2 technologies, he opted for the technology that was going to be a little bit more futuristic. Now, in the midst of doing all of that, this interactive videotape, which we thought was the bomb, was kind of taken over by CD-ROM. And that's where the whole world changed when it came to all things. Because if, again, you and I are too young to remember this, but there were times when our predecessors used to have to go into a room and hit play on the videotape and watch videotape training, and it was just death by 1,000 cuts.
And that's a great, for sales professionals, sometimes the industry changes. Sometimes you have to pivot and you have to make adjustments and you have to be thinking about, hey, if things are going really good now, what's going to happen 5 years from now, 10 years from now? I watched the movie Blackberry on a plane one time, and I don't know if you're familiar with the story about Blackberry, but here's a company that was one of the biggest, if not the best in the world, and they weren't prepared. They didn't, update with the times, and they went from $1 billion company to, like, I think they're still owned and people still use them, but it's like very limited. That is so important for people in the industry to know that on occasion this will happen. So what did you do as CD-ROM comes out? Obviously the tape process wasn't it. What happened from there?
Well, like every strong startup company, we ran out of venture capital funding. We couldn't get any more Series A or Series B funding. So that was a technology that was just kind of discarded on the side of the road. But Drewbie, what you said, I think all of us who are listeners need to hear what you just said. We've got the ability to pivot in our sales careers. We've got to pick the right horse. We got to pick technologies and trends that are going in the right direction. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how good we are. If that technology shifts and our company isn't in the shifting mode, we're going to be the next BlackBerry. It's a great device. It's got great technology, but it was overcome by all things iPhone, smartphones, smart devices. And now if you're thinking, AI, it's not for me, it's never going to hit my industry, you could be that company that's left on the side of the road if there's this technological advance. And so we've got to be on the top of our game as sales pros. Always. We're always learning. We're always looking toward the front windshield to see what's coming, not the rear view where we came from.
And that leads me to a great question for you. You've got lots of experience, lots of wisdom, from years of being in the industry. What would you say has kind of become like your sales superpower or like your secret weapon, if you would?
Excellent question. Yeah, there's two. One is continuous learning. Superpowers, you've got to constantly be a student of the game, and that game is the relationship build. We've got to be better students at how to connect and build relationships than we are articulating our value proposition for the product or service that we sell. And the other idea is the ABC, always be curious, to collect stories, to find out. I mean, you obviously have a very unique first name, and there's probably epic stories of you growing up on how you monopolized your name to be household. No one else I know in my entire career or life has your name. How unique is that? How much can you play off of that? How much more can you? I mean, I used to work a long time ago in the selling automatic data processing, payroll services. And this is before the internet and before technology. And there was a guy that was on our team, and he got more leads than I did because his name was Cash Siegler. And Cash Siegler just rolls off the tongue as, oh man, I got to call that guy back. Not Phil Jones or Curt Tueffert. That's nothing. It's not motivational. So again, there's lots of things that we can do in order to have those superpowers.
I love that, and I appreciate you acknowledging my name. That's like the third or fourth time today, which is so fun because I always lean in on, my name isn't really Drewbie. My name is Andrew Wilson. It's a very boring, standard American name. I think there's like 50 or 60,000 of us across the country, maybe even just in the state of Ohio. There's a lot of us, right? Drewbie is the man that I was growing up in the streets, that I was to my friends, to the people who know me, like me, trust me. They call me Drewbie. That's my name. That's what they call me. I've leaned in on that because I believe that the personal brand we build as professionals means so much more than the flag that we fly as we are employees of a company.
Yeah,
And don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
You have to be a great, like, being a great employee is really, really important. Understand how to be a cog in the machine, very, very valuable. But also remember, people want to do business with you. They don't care what the logo looks like. The name on the building is important, but only to a certain degree. If you're the person they're having the conversation with, they're trusting in you to help them make this decision on whatever it is they're trying to accomplish. It's important to remember your brand, your personality, the way you lean in on that means so much. So thank you for acknowledging that, Curt. Like, I really appreciate it. How would you say for you, you've leaned in on that same process? How do you kind of separate yourself from all the other sales guys in the world?
So for the longest time, I've always been a student of follow-up. And whether it's a handwritten note, now I use an automated process, but I also use a process. I collect people's birthdays and then I send them a birthday card and a half birthday card. So the system I use automatically will set up this, send them a half a birthday card 6 months before or after. And the card is in half. So half print, half message, and enough that they'll call me back. Now, for a sales guy that sends out those kind of goofy, quirky things in the actual mail, in the actual envelope, U.S. Postal Service, if that customer or prospect calls you back to say thank you for the half birthday card, you've got a hot lead on your hands. You've got the opportunity to call the damn lead and go, look, hey, I appreciate the fact that, you like my card. By the way, it's been a while since we got together. What's changing your business? And now you're on a sales call, unsolicited. It's brilliant. It sets you apart.
Curt, I'm going to give you one step even more. I wrote a blog about this. I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars in commissions. So I love the birthday idea too. I do it a little bit different. I love the automated cards, all that, like the half birthday card, genius. I made a little note for myself. I won't steal it, but I may make my own version of it.
I stole it. Go ahead, man. It worked. It really worked.
That's why we have the show, because so many people are willing to share this. That's why I want to share this tip with you. So here's what I do. Every morning when I'm on, going into social media and I'm kind of setting up my content for the day and I'm kind of looking over, responding to people, the beautiful thing is it'll tell you whose birthday it is. And like Facebook, it'll send you a reminder. I think LinkedIn will tell you whose birthday it is. So here's what I do, Curt, that has been an absolute game changer for me. Every day I commit 15 minutes that I open up my messenger on those platforms and I see whose birthday it is and I pull out my phone and I go, hey, Curt, man, it's Drewbie. I saw it was your birthday. I just wanted to reach out and say happy birthday. Your support means the world to me. I cannot thank you enough. Just so you know, I'm always here. Anything you need, all you got to do is reach out. In the meantime, crush today, call the damn leads, and have a little fun because it's your birthday. And I send that message. I send 10, 15 of them a day. It's normally about the number of birthdays every day. It's not a ton. It takes you 30 seconds to send the message, maybe another 30 seconds to go through the process. You spend 15 minutes a day. I have made silly money, but more than that, Curt, taking that 30 seconds to send a video, I've had people message me back in tears. I have family members, friends for decades that haven't ever even bothered to do more than the thumbs up, happy birthday automation message that it gives you. You took the time to send me that video. It made my day. I've been meaning to reach out to you, how do we get on a call? What do we got to do to work together? This is so pop. So don't forget, man. And the other side, why I started doing this, Curt, is because I was a little nervous to get on video. You said something about my energy before. I didn't have this. It took a lot of time and training to get here. Birthday videos, super nonchalant, no pressure, easy to get on there. If you goof up or you say something silly, people aren't going to be offended because you're doing a great thing. Try it a couple times.
And you're so comfortable in your own skin that you don't have to put on any kind of a Ring camera or a this or that. Most people love the fact that you're wearing your insignia on your ball cap, that you took the time to do that one. And you might have just kind of flubbed up a couple of words, but that's okay because it's from the heart. And you never said anything in there about, hey, we're having a 25% off sale. Why don't you call me today? No, Tommy Wyatt wrote a book about this, and he just talks about chocolate-covered dog poop, meaning You came across intentionally trying to say happy birthday to me, but then you flipped it at the end and you started selling me. That is not the time to sell. It's the time to be genuine. Look, if they're going to buy from you, they're going to buy from you because they're going to buy from you. They're going to like you because you celebrated their birthday through a video. Brilliant. I'm going to try that.
I hope you do. And I know we're going to build a fun relationship and get to chat more after this show because, like, I love connecting with professionals. I am also a student of the game. Every day, I'm looking, who can I chat with? Who can I learn from? How can I take what's working for them and mold it into my own fashion? Because the beautiful thing about sales, there's a million ways to make $1 million, you guys. I promise you. But the foundation, the things that we do on a consistent daily, weekly, monthly basis, that is what ultimately leads to having long-term sustainable success. So, Curt, what would you say is some of the things or routines that you like to implement currently with your, your role that you're in now, to make sure you're staying on track to hit those goals?
That's a great question, Drewbie. Part of what I do is a cadence, right? You've got to have a cadence of follow up. And so, whether you're using a CRM package or a giant wall calendar or 527 post it notes, something that allows you to continuously follow up with people. Now, I've got an automated process that is birthdays and half birthdays. I can use that for other types of celebrations. But you've got to be able to follow up because the fortune's in the follow up. And so many times we see all the statistics that, salespeople give up after the first, second, third, fourth sales call, and the business money is made on the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th sales call. So a sales call can be defined as a video, a phone call, a text message, lighting yourself on fire in the parking lot, sending brownies. It doesn't matter what it is as long as it's creative and consistent with a cadence. That gives you long-time funnel success.
That is so true. And what I love about it is it's not complicated. It doesn't require a ton of fancy systems and widgets and all of that. It could be as simple as you have an Excel sheet where you put someone's name and you put the last time you contacted them.
Amen.
Now, I believe that you should probably invest in a CRM with some automations and some things that can make this a little easier on yourself. But I love the simplicity of pick a cadence, stick to the routine, follow it, trust it, lean in. And what I know, and you've probably had this experience yourself, is that a lot of times you just have to trust the process. It sounds really simple or almost too easy. And the thing that you're looking at is like, man, that's kind of a lot of simple work. Like, there's a lot of work. It doesn't look too hard, but like, man, it looks like a lot of work. It's too easy. I don't know. So you don't want to do it. But the people that try to take the shortcuts don't realize the shortcut comes from doing the simple things day in and day out every single day. And so, Curt, as you've progressed, as you've kind of, continue to grow in your role, what are you doing now and what are you really focused on from a sales perspective and within your journey?
So right now I'm focused a lot on the art of asking great questions. There's a philosophy that says that the customer, client, or prospect buys the person first. They buy us, then they buy our company, then our product, then our price. And so I'm really, I'm a big student on behavioral styles. I do a lot of work in coaching and using a lot of assessment work, but I'm going back to trying to be curious about the other person and trying to differentiate myself by understanding and being faster at determining their behavioral style. And just, okay, I get it right 20%, then 60%, then 80% of the time. I change myself. I think Tony Alessandra said in the Platinum Rule, treat people the way they want to be treated. So I may go on a sales call and just kind of approach a neutral, figure this out, and then try something different just to be different. Because at the end of the day, I don't think AI is going to replace our relationship value in sales. But we will be replaced if we have no relationship value in sales.
You know what? And I want to dig a little deeper on that because I am a big proponent of AI. I think it's a fantastic tool when leveraged correctly. And I'm with you in the belief that AI cannot ask the nuanced questions. That's why we see so many of them that get tripped up when, everybody's trying to sell you this AI appointment setter or these AI sales teams. And like, yeah, at a certain level, there's some simple questions that if people just ask and, question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. And if you can get through that, you can make sales and it can be relatively easy because people can go to a kiosk and order their McDonald's hamburger. That's why they're phasing that part of the process out. What AI cannot do, at least not yet, is it cannot get to the nuance of the questions that it asks. It has to just fall into some baseline categories. Whereas humans, when we focus on empathy and truly wanting to understand where someone is coming from, the tonality, the cadence, the specific words that we use and the way that we use them, right? Is someone visually stimulated? Are they auditorially stimulated? Do they go by their feelings? That is where AI cannot replace a properly trained, well-informed individual. And Curt, I would love to know your opinion. Do you think AI will ever get to that point?
Not in the next 10 to 15 years. We'll do, we got fake news. We've got, all the things that cause us to fake everything, if you will. But your idea of the nuanceness, the ability to read the room, the ability to know that you had a great phone setting appointment skill with a person, but now you're showing up in their office. It's a 4-day work week. It's coming off of a holiday. They're kind of stressed. Somebody just left the company. And you've got to shift and pivot through that sales call. I don't think AI can do that, but what it can do is it can boil down the umpteen number of processes and make it so pick and easy for somebody to order a product or service off the web that they won't need a salesperson. AKA,
man, that is true.
Amazon, a small startup company. I don't know if they're going to make it or not, but they figured it all out. And so they're going to continuously use their AI, and we're going to continuously get to the point of where it'll be so easy to make a purchase, furniture, vehicles, all kind of crazy things that you once used a sales pro for. You'll be able to use AI to neck it down to the point of where you've got a high probability that the sale will be consummated through a chatbot. And that's tragic if you're a sales guy who's not pivoting. If you want to be that dinosaur, stay in the tar, because eventually it's going to overcome you.
And I will say that I am one of those individuals, guiltily enough, I'll write it across my forehead. I sometimes prefer, if I know what I want and I don't want to have to go through all the rigmarole of it, I don't mind going and getting a chatbot or an AI process that I can just input data and know that it's going to send me back the basics of what I need to know to get to making that decision. However, service work, real questions about more than just the basics of things will always require a trained professional who knows how to ask the right questions in the right way. So Curt, man, we could nerd out and go deep on this all day long. I don't want to keep you forever because I respect your time. What I would ask, what's one little tip you would give someone to ask better questions?
Well, you've become a student of collecting great questions. Because there's only, you can be a student of collecting great questions. And I do a lot of sales training. So if I had 10 people in a room and I asked those 10 people to generate 10 of their most favorite open-ended questions, I'd have 100 questions. Even if 40 of them were redundant, I'd have 60 brand new questions. And here's where I might use Copilot or ChatGPT to prompt me. What are the top 10 open-ended questions to ask a decision maker in the manufacturing space about blank? Now I take that and I look, these are stupid questions. They're stupid only if you just take them at face value. Somewhere in those 7 to 10 questions are nuggets that you can craft to your own way of articulating. Every time I teach a sales training, I always go back to, what's the one thing you wish you were better at? Curt, wish I was better at asking questions. Well, why is that? Because I go right to pitching my product. And if I go back to that 29-year-old kid who flew to San Diego to go pitch Brian Tracy, and all I did is verbal diarrhea all over this guy, verbal vomit about him, it's like, no, Curt, you've got to be more curious. Brian, I've noticed that in your trending, you really are in this area. What I've seen in other people in that area is here are the top 3 things they're challenged with. Brian, would you say that you're challenged with those things? Yeah, you are, just like my other guys. Let's talk a little bit about, and you go from pitch to consultant. And that's what you said. Drewbie, you do the same thing. I mean, I've been on your website. I love your products. I love the philosophy. I love the story behind it. There's got to be a better way to be able to say, look, I see what you guys are struggling with, and here are the 4 things that I've shown to be very highly effective with the other clients who follow me, who joined my tribe, who invested in themselves, and here's how I can help you. And the pivot goes to those open-ended questions.
Ooh. Curt, you've done your research. I appreciate that about a man. And more than anything, I love that you were very willing to share, to be vulnerable, to just say, hey, this is what I know is working. This is what's not working. And I'll add on to, I love using the AI as a tool to help me process data, right? I'm a guy, I like to ask open-ended questions, or I like to ask engaging questions because I want to know how people think, what they operate. So every day on my social media, I ask an engaging question that gets random all kinds of answers, and they're varied. Tell me about your favorite pet, or a place you visited, or what's a story that you've never told anyone. Just all kinds of crazy stuff. And just yesterday, I had my assistant go through for the entire year, categorize what was the question, how many people responded, how many people engaged, and I took the top 50 and I went to ChatGPT and I said, hey, here is all of the data from all of the people who have answered these questions. Can you please analyze it and help me create 5 new categories with specific questions that will be similar but not the same, so that I can continue getting to know my ideal clients. And wouldn't you know, Curt, it spit out a whole thing, and now I have 100 days worth of content. All I got to do is schedule it out, and I never have to think about it again because I was able to use the tools that were at my fingertips.
Agreed. Brilliant. And that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot more people start asking now, tell me the 5 new niches I need to go after. Show me how I could use this tip and make a blog post out of it. And it'll go do that one. And then you nuance it to who you are and you post it. Both of us were working smarter, not harder. And I think that's going to be the differentiator when the guys who are working super, super hard get replaced with a chatbot because it's just an order clerk. The guys who are working smarter stay in the hunt, build a relationship, and earn the bigger bucks.
Ooh, Curt, brother, I had a mentor one time who told me you don't have to have the answer to every question, but you do have to know where to start looking for them.
Yeah.
And from what I'm hearing, you are a great resource for not only what questions to ask, but how to start asking better questions. So, how can someone come and find you? How can they learn more about asking better questions? What's the best way for us to come and follow you? Because I'm right on board, brother. I'm right there behind them.
I've got a website. It's called Peak Sales Strategy. It's all one word, peaksalesstrategy.com. You can find me on the socials. I'm a guy that pays it forward. So I'd love to be able to bounce ideas off of people. And, if it leads into the things that you and I are really good at, which is coaching and mentoring and doing that kind of stuff, hey, that's great. The pie is big enough for both of us.
I've always said I don't want to sell everybody with a credit card and a pulse. And also, I ultimately find that there's a person for every person. Someone along the way is going to hear this. They're going to get a massive amount of value. And all that I would ask that they do is if they enjoyed the show, they got something from what you had to say today, Curt, go and check my man out. Go follow him. Get on his mailing list. Listen to the stuff that he's putting out there. I know he's putting out amazing content to help people like you and I get better, to sell more, and to ask better questions. So go follow Curt. Check him out. And if you enjoyed the show and you have a crazy sales story of your own you want to share, go over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Check us out. Send us your information. I'd love to bring you on, share, because I am a student of the game, just like my friend Curt today. And I, for one, am excited to start asking better questions. So, Curt, thank you for sharing with us today, man.
You're welcome, my friend. Thank you.
You got it. We'll see you guys on the next one. Go call the damn leads. Take care.
Bye.